Imagine waking up with a clear sense of direction, not rattled by setbacks, not drowned out by the chaos, just calm, focused, and locked on what matters. That wasn't a superpower reserved for saints or emperors. It was a daily practice for people like Marcus Aurelius. So ask yourself, why isn't that your daily reality yet? What's actually in your way? Be honest, most of the time it isn't the world. It's the noise inside your own head. Most people don't really lack time, they lack direction. They don't lack motivation, they lack discipline. They let moods and opinions tug them around like a leaf in the wind. The Stoics had a different approach: build discipline brick by brick, choice by choice. Strip away the excuses, meet reality, and take back control of your life, because if you aren't in control of yourself, something or someone else is. Let's start with purpose. You know that empty feeling at night when you're drained but can't point to anything that actually mattered? That's the price of a blurry purpose. It's not laziness, it's misalignment. Without a strong inner compass, the world will gladly hand you 1,000 fake priorities. None of them will satisfy you. Marcus said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good person should be. Be one." Purpose isn't a grand speech you make once. It's a direction you choose and live into daily. It's how you spend your energy, what you say no to, and what you're willing to endure. You don't rise by accident. You rise on purpose. A strong why doesn't remove difficulty, it gives difficulty meaning. Even hard days count when they contribute to who you're becoming. And you don't need a 10-year master plan to live on purpose. The future isn't guaranteed. What you do control is today, your thoughts, your actions, your intentions. So ask, what's actually worth my time today? Not what's trending. Not what looks good on a to-do list. What is essential to me? Here's a simple way to begin. Look at your real life, not your fantasies. What challenges energize you? What are you willing to suffer for? Maybe you come alive solving problems. Maybe you feel called to help. Maybe you need solitude to create. Your purpose isn't hiding from you, it's buried under noise. The Stoics used daily reflection to keep their compass sharp. Morning intention, evening review. That's it. 5 minutes each. If you wake up and grab your phone, you just put your brain in reaction mode. Try this instead. Before anything else, ask, who do I want to be today? What actually matters? At night ask, did I live my values? Your attention is your life. Where it goes, you follow. If you don't direct it, the world will direct it for you. Identify a quality you want to build, courage, kindness, creativity, and run your decisions through a simple filter. Does this choice align with who I'm becoming? Discipline gets easier when every decision is connected to a story you care about. Modern research agrees. A clear sense of purpose makes you more resilient and stable. It turns discipline from a cold grind into a sacred yes. You're not just rejecting distractions, you're choosing something bigger. Write down your top 3 values, what truly matters to you. Compare them with your habits. Where's the gap? What's one action today that honors a value? When life gets messy, and it will, return to those values. Circumstances shift. Values anchor you. Purpose won't always feel good. Sometimes it will be hard, but it will feel right. It wakes you with clarity and lets you sleep with peace. If you feel scattered and overwhelmed, step back and ask a smaller, better question. What kind of person do I want to be today? Answer it with action. Do it again tomorrow. That quiet consistency becomes real power. Now, the second pillar, self-reliance. There comes a point, after enough delays and disappointments, when you realize nobody is coming to save you. Not your boss. Not your partner. Not your future perfect self. Just you. That's not depressing, it's liberating. The moment you stop waiting, you start building, habit by habit, decision by decision. Epictetus said, "No one is free who is not master of himself." Mastery doesn't come from leaning on others whenever life gets heavy. It comes from building your own inner structure, your standards, your tools, your mental frameworks. If your stability depends on external things, circumstances, praise, other people, you'll always be one change away from collapse. That isn't strength. That's dependence wearing a costume. This doesn't mean you isolate yourself or refuse help. Stoicism is about sovereignty, not loneliness. Accept help, but don't need it in order to act. Many of us hide in preparation. We wait for perfect timing, the right mentor, the magic book. That's fear in disguise. You don't need more information, you need more responsibility. Self-discipline is impossible without self-trust. If you don't keep your own word, your brain stops believing you. Then every habit feels like a fight. Start rebuilding trust with small promises. Wake up when you said you would. Finish the task you set. Say no when you mean no. Each kept promise is a brick in the foundation. Over time you become self-propelled. That's when things change. Nietzsche warned, "He who cannot obey himself will be commanded." If you don't lead your life, something else will. Your job, your cravings, your fears. Real freedom isn't doing whatever you want whenever you want. It's doing what's right, even when it's hard. And that freedom is built, not granted. So what does self-reliance look like day to day? Systems over moods. Initiative without permission. Honest self-assessment when you're slipping, and a firm, kind reset. Turning down shortcuts that hurt long-term growth. Being your own coach, cheerleader, and, when needed, your own drill sergeant. Not because someone is watching, but because you are. The only self that truly matters is the one you recognize when no one else is looking. That's who you're accountable to. When that self is solid and dependable, everything else improves. You stop chasing approval. You stop waiting for ready. You start. Here's a 7-day challenge to kickstart it. Each morning, make one small, meaningful promise to yourself and keep it. Track it. Celebrate it. Watch how your energy shifts from scattered to grounded. Watch how you move because you decided to, not because someone pushed you. That's the turning point where discipline stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like your superpower. Purpose gives you direction. Self-reliance gives you momentum. Together, they make you difficult to shake. Not perfect. Not invulnerable. Just steady, clear, and alive. There's a trap that quietly controls most people's lives. The belief that you need to feel like it before you do something. You wait for motivation, for inspiration, for the right mood to arrive. But what happens when it doesn't? You stall. You distract yourself. You say, "I'll do it tomorrow." And suddenly, weeks have slipped by while your goals are still sitting there untouched. Here's the truth. If you only show up when you feel like it, you'll never build anything that lasts. Not a career, not a relationship, not even your own self-respect. Because feelings are fickle. They rise and fall like the weather. Discipline is what keeps you steady. It's the choice to act even when the spark isn't there. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, 'I have to go to work,' as a human being." That wasn't motivational fluff. It was a reminder that life isn't about preference, it's about principle. You don't wait to feel ready. You honor your role. Modern culture makes consistency look boring. We glorify viral success stories, overnight wins, dramatic transformations. But the truth is that anything worth having, health, love, purpose, self-mastery, is built through showing up again and again, even when it's dull, even when no one notices. Carl Jung once said, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." You aren't your dreams or your potential. You're your habits. What you repeatedly do, especially on the days when it's hardest. Showing up doesn't mean crushing it every time. Some days you'll be sharp. Other days you'll just crawl through. That's okay. The Stoics weren't chasing perfection. They were chasing alignment. Did you do what you said you would, to the best of your ability, right here, right now? That's enough. Every time you show up, even for 5 minutes, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. Skip it, and you're voting for stagnation. That's why discipline matters more than motivation. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is identity. And here's the twist. Showing up isn't just mechanical. It can be spiritual. It's an act of rebellion against laziness, against fear, against passivity. Each time you move forward, you're saying, "I still choose to be here. I still choose to try." And that choice, repeated, transforms you. Now let's talk about discomfort. Because discipline isn't only about showing up when you don't feel like it. It's also about choosing discomfort on purpose. Comfort feels safe. It whispers, take it easy. Wait until the timing is perfect. Don't push yourself too hard. There's nothing wrong with comfort until it starts costing you your potential. Avoid discomfort long enough, and you become fragile. The smallest challenge throws you off balance. The Stoics knew this. That's why they practiced voluntary discomfort. Seneca would sleep on the floor, wear rough clothes, eat plain food, just to remind himself he could endure it. He asked, "Is this the condition I feared?" Every time he realized the answer was no, his power grew. Voluntary hardship isn't masochism. It's training. It's rehearsing for the storms life will inevitably bring. Because pain is coming, ready or not. If you've prepared yourself to handle it, you won't break. You'll bend, then rise. Carl Jung said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." Growth requires friction. Muscles grow under strain. Minds grow through struggle. Hearts grow through loss. So why not step into small doses of discomfort now, instead of waiting for life to hit you hard? Skip a meal, not because you forgot, but because you want to train your hunger. Leave your phone at home for a day, let your brain itch and learn you'll be fine. Take a cold shower, breathe through the shock. None of these things will ruin you, but they'll remind you that you are stronger than you think. This practice isn't about punishment. It's about power. It tells your nervous system, I'm not fragile. I can choose hardship and come out stronger. Modern psychology calls it hormesis, low doses of stress that make you more resilient. The Stoics didn't have the science, but they understood the truth. Avoiding pain doesn't eliminate it, it only delays it. So ask yourself, what's one small discomfort I can choose today? Take the stairs. Speak the truth when it would be easier to stay quiet. Meditate for 10 minutes when you'd rather scroll. Eat simple when you'd rather indulge. These aren't random challenges, they're investments. Every time you choose discomfort, you're forging a future version of yourself who's steady under pressure. You're rehearsing for the storm, so when it comes, you don't panic. You respond. You don't collapse. You adapt. That's the Stoic way. Don't run from pain. Don't idolize it either. Train with it. Let it sharpen you, steady you, prepare you. Because discipline isn't just about avoiding distractions. It's about becoming the kind of person who can walk into hard things with clear eyes and a calm heart. And that's where real resilience is born. Not by chance, not by accident, but by choosing every day to step a little beyond comfort on purpose. Have you ever noticed how fast a good day can unravel? You spill coffee on your shirt. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Your boss fires off a rude email. Suddenly your peace is gone, your mood is hijacked, and you're spiraling. It's frustrating because you were trying, you wanted a calm day, but the world didn't cooperate. That's the trap. Believing peace comes from controlling everything around you. The Stoics flipped this idea upside down. They taught that peace comes from focusing only on what is yours to control, and letting the rest go. Epictetus said it plainly, some things are up to us and some things are not. That simple line can change your life if you actually live it. You don't control the weather. You don't control traffic. You don't control how other people act. But you do control your response, your words, your choices, your attitude. That's your zone of power. Think about how much energy we waste fighting things that aren't ours to fix. We replay arguments. We obsess over someone's opinion. We try to micromanage how others see us. And none of it changes a thing, except now we're exhausted. Carl Jung said, what you resist persists. The harder you grip what you can't hold, the more it drains you. The Stoic practice is simple. Pause and ask, is this within my control? If no, release it. If yes, that little filter can bring more peace than a week-long retreat, because it gets straight to the root of your stress. You don't need to control rain, you need a jacket. You don't need to control traffic. You need to leave earlier or breathe through the delay. You don't need to control someone's attitude, you need to stay aligned with your own principles. Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. He didn't promise control. He promised strength. Modern psychology echoes this with the idea of locus of control. People with an internal locus, who focus on their effort and attitude, are more resilient than those who blame luck or fate. The difference? One group wastes energy wishing, the other uses energy acting. And letting go isn't the same as giving up. It's not weakness. It's wisdom. It's refusing to fight battles you can't win so you can fight the ones you can. That's not passive, it's strategic. Try this in real life. Someone treats you unfairly. You can obsess over their mindset, or you can focus on what you control. Your boundaries, your words, your decision to walk away if needed. That's power, not over them, but over you. The Stoics also warned us about suffering in imagination. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." How much of your stress is about things that haven't even happened? Worst-case scenarios that live only in your head? Let them go. Even emotions belong here. You don't always control how you feel. Anger, fear, anxiety rise up uninvited. But you do control what you do with those feelings. Do you lash out? Do you shut down? Or do you pause, breathe, and choose clarity? The Stoics weren't emotionless. They just refused to be ruled by emotion. They created space between stimulus and response. That space is freedom. Here's a practice. Draw a line down a page. On one side, write what you can't control. On the other, what you can. When the storm rises, return to that list. Act where it matters. Release the rest. Because control isn't about force. It's about focus. You don't need to master the world. You need to master yourself. And when you do, the world loses its grip on you. You're steady. You're clear. You're free. Now let's talk about the victim mindset. Life isn't fair, we all know that. Some people are born with wealth or health. Others start at rock bottom. And even if you get a good start, life will eventually throw you something brutal. Betrayal, loss, failure, illness. In those moments it's natural to think, why me? It's human to feel hurt, frustrated, even angry. But if you live there, if you build a home in that mindset, you become a victim in your own story. You hand over your power. The Stoics offered a radical alternative. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed and you haven't been." That doesn't mean denying pain. It means refusing to let it define you. Carl Jung said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." Pain is real, but identity is choice. Victimhood feels tempting because it offers sympathy, someone to blame, and a ready-made story. But what it doesn't offer is growth. What it doesn't offer is peace. Epictetus knew this well. He was born a slave, walked with a limp, and still taught. It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. Hardship was his teacher, not his prison. Modern psychology calls this post-traumatic growth. People don't just bounce back after hardship, they can bounce forward, stronger, wiser, more compassionate. But it only happens when you stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What can I learn? How do I rise?" Victimhood says, "They hurt me, so I'm broken." Strength says, "They hurt me, but I rose anyway." One story steals your power, the other multiplies it. So how do you shift out of victim mode? Start with awareness. Catch the story you're telling yourself. Are you rehearsing your pain or rewriting your power? Then take responsibility, not for what happened, but for what happens next. Your healing, your peace, your growth, that's your job. The Stoics practiced nightly reflection to keep themselves honest. Did I act with integrity today? Did I let emotion control me? Did I live my values, even when it was hard? That kind of inventory keeps you moving forward, not stuck in blame. You don't have to hide your pain. But don't let it shrink you either. Use it. Let it sharpen you. Let it teach you patience, compassion, resilience. That's how you turn pain into purpose. That's how you take back your power. Because you are not your trauma. You are not your worst moment. You are what you do next. There's a strange trick our minds play on us. We know what's good for us. We know what we should be doing. But when the phone buzzes, when the couch looks inviting, when snacks call our name, it's like our brain short circuits. Suddenly, the important things get pushed aside for the easy things. I'll get to it later, we tell ourselves. But later quietly becomes never. This is how so many people trade long-term fulfillment for short-term comfort, not because they're weak or lazy, but because no one taught them to master that tiny space between impulse and action. That space is where freedom lives. And that's exactly where the Stoics focused their energy. They weren't against pleasure. They weren't joyless monks. They simply believed in choosing the right kind of pleasure, the kind that lasts, the kind that serves you instead of enslaves you. Epictetus warned that blind pleasure becomes a trap, turning us into servants of our cravings. Freedom, he said, is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things beyond our control. Pleasure, when chased blindly, is one of those things. Think about all the temptations we're surrounded by: social media, fast food, endless streaming, gossip. All of them offer a quick hit of dopamine. And afterward? Guilt, regret, emptiness. The cycle repeats because we confuse relief with reward. Carl Jung once wrote, "The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of its parents." That's a hard line, but it's true. When we constantly choose temporary comfort, we create a life half-lived, a life numbed instead of awakened. And then we pass down that pattern of avoidance to the next generation. Here's the shift: delaying gratification isn't deprivation. It's direction. Every time you say, "not now," to an impulse, you're saying yes to your deeper values. You're reminding yourself that you run your life, not your cravings. Start small. Notice when you're tempted to check your phone while working. Just wait 10 minutes. Feel the urge and prove to yourself that you don't have to obey it. Skip the sugary snack you don't even want. Say no to the quick excuse. These little acts aren't meaningless, they're momentum. Each one rebuilds trust in yourself. Seneca wrote, "Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power." When you delay gratification, you stop being a puppet of impulse. You become someone who chooses on principle, not on pressure. That's real freedom. And let's be honest, the world doesn't want you disciplined. Apps are designed to be addictive. Ads are tailored to your desires. Convenience food is engineered to hijack your willpower. The system profits when you consume without pause. So every time you resist, you're not just practicing discipline. You're rebelling. You're reclaiming your mind. Modern science backs this up. The famous marshmallow test showed that kids who could wait, who resisted eating a single marshmallow in exchange for two later, ended up with better outcomes in life. They were healthier, wealthier, more resilient. But because they didn't burn their energy chasing every shiny object. They invested in what truly mattered. So don't think of restraint as losing. Think of it as investing. Every small no today builds a larger yes tomorrow. The discipline to wait is the discipline to build. Now, once you've chosen discipline, another challenge arrives: the noise of other people. Every time you try to change, whether it's building a new routine, starting a business, or speaking your truth, there's a moment when someone raises an eyebrow. Maybe they roll their eyes. Maybe they say something subtle like, "You really think you can do that?" That's the noise. And if you're not careful, it gets under your skin. It starts shaping your choices, not because it's true, but because we're wired to care. We crave approval. We fear rejection. In ancient times, being cast out of the tribe meant danger. That wiring is still in us, which is why criticism stings and praise feels so good. But Stoicism teaches us to outgrow that reflex. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." That contradiction runs most people's lives. We say we want freedom, yet hand over the keys to strangers' judgments. The Stoics weren't isolated hermits. They were leaders, parents, thinkers. They lived in society, but they drew a line. Their peace, their identity, their values were not up for sale. Their worth didn't depend on applause. Here's the trap: trying to silence the noise by pleasing everyone. It never works. You end up saying yes when you mean no, watering down your truth, shaping yourself into what others expect. And over time, you stop hearing your own voice. You lose touch with your own calling. That's the real cost of seeking approval. So how do you resist it? Decide who actually gets a seat at your table. Not every opinion deserves your energy. Make what author Brené Brown calls a square squad, a tiny list of people who know your values, who want what's best for you, and whose feedback is grounded in love, not fear. Everyone else? Background noise. Let them talk. Let them doubt. You don't owe them an explanation. Criticism usually isn't even about you. It's a mirror. Your commitment makes other people uncomfortable with their excuses. Your action highlights their inaction. Instead of facing that, they project it onto you. That's not your burden to carry. And when you tune out the noise, something powerful happens. You hear yourself again. You remember your own values. You trust your own voice. That quiet conviction is stronger than any applause. So if the world is barking at your progress, let it bark. If they gossip, if they mock, if they roll their eyes, let them. You've got work to do. And if you stay consistent, your results will speak louder than words ever could. By the time they realize you were serious, you'll be too far ahead to even hear the noise. Because it was never about proving them wrong. It was about proving yourself right. Have you noticed how often the loudest voices are also the emptiest? We live in a world where volume gets mistaken for value. The more someone shouts, the more attention they gather. But attention isn't wisdom. And just because someone has a following or a microphone doesn't mean they have anything worth absorbing. If you want real growth, if you want true self-discipline, you have to choose your influences with care. Who you watch, who you listen to, who you let shape your sense of normal. Like it or not, you become like the people you surround yourself with, online and offline. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. At the start of Meditations, he listed the people who shaped him: mentors, teachers, family members, and the specific virtues he learned from each: patience, integrity, courage, kindness. He didn't just admire them. He studied them. He imitated their habits and mindsets. He didn't try to reinvent virtue. He borrowed from those who already lived it well. That isn't weakness. That's wisdom. As adults, we like to think we've outgrown role models. But imitation doesn't stop at childhood. We keep copying behaviors, attitudes, even values, usually without realizing it. That's why it's so dangerous to let the loudest, flashiest voices dominate your attention. Influencers who look polished but lack principles. Celebrities who preach authenticity but live for validation. Coaches who sell motivation but haven't built discipline themselves. The Stoics challenge us to look deeper. Don't just ask, "Do I like this person's energy?" Ask, "Do they live what they preach?" Because charisma can win crowds, but it doesn't build character. And copying charisma leaves you hollow. Carl Jung said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." The people you let close to you will transform you. The question is, into what? So pay attention. Who are you letting shape your mindset? Who do you let in through podcasts, books, social media, friendships? Their voices become your thoughts. Their standards become your standards. Their limits become your limits. If you follow only people who glorify hustle without rest, you'll burn out thinking you're lazy. If you surround yourself with cynics, you'll start doubting your own dreams. But if you immerse yourself in wisdom, patience, long-term thinking, you'll shift too. Slowly, quietly, powerfully. Look for role models who are calm in chaos. Kind without being weak. Clear without arrogance. Consistent when no one's watching. Study them. Not just their highlight reels, but how they live when life gets messy. That's where true discipline shows up, not in what people post, but in what they practice. And here's the beauty. Even if you can't find living examples around you, history has given us timeless ones. Marcus, Seneca, Epictetus. Their words outlived empires because they spoke truth, not trends. They wrote for themselves, but now we can borrow their wisdom. When you start modeling the wise, something shifts. You begin to carry yourself differently. You make decisions from principle, not pressure. And eventually, you become someone others can model, not because you're perfect, but because you're aligned. Your presence becomes steady, not loud, but clear. Maybe what you need isn't more hype or motivation. Maybe what you need is better models. People whose lives speak louder than their words. People who remind you what's possible when you stay true to your values in a noisy world. That's what Stoicism offers, a blueprint for character walked by giants. All you have to do is follow the path, one choice at a time. Most people fall asleep replaying annoyances, unfinished tasks, or worries about tomorrow. We scroll. We distract. We avoid. But the Stoics believed the most powerful moment of the day isn't the morning when you plan. It's the night when you reflect. Not to beat yourself up. Not to dramatize. But to look honestly at how you lived. That's where transformation happens. Seneca described it beautifully. When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said, hiding nothing from myself, passing nothing by. He wasn't being poetic. He was practicing mastery. And here's the best part, anyone can do it. You don't need hours or fancy rituals. Just a quiet moment, a pen, and a few honest questions. Did I follow through on what I said I'd do? Did I keep my cool when tested? Did I waste time or use it wisely? Reflection is uncomfortable because it reveals the truth. I didn't have time usually means I didn't make time. I was too tired sometimes means I avoided discomfort. When you write this down nightly, patterns emerge. And once you see the patterns, you can change them. Reflection isn't about shame. It's about data. Like an athlete watching game tape, not to feel guilty, but to improve. Your journal becomes your coach, your mirror. A place to celebrate wins, note mistakes, and recalibrate. Remember, Marcus Aurelius' Meditations wasn't written for the public. It was his private journal. Notes to himself, reminders to stay grounded. If the Emperor of Rome made time to reflect, what excuse do we have? It doesn't take long. Even 3 questions can change your direction. Where did I rise today? Where did I fall short? What lesson can I carry into tomorrow? Science supports this too. Journaling reduces anxiety, improves focus, and helps regulate emotions. Because writing gives structure to chaos. It turns swirling thoughts into something you can see, measure, and work with. But honesty is key. Don't write what sounds good. Write what's real. I procrastinated because I feared imperfection. I snapped at someone because I didn't pause. That kind of honesty stings, but it frees you. Once you name it, you can face it. And once you face it, you can fix it. Reflection is how you make sure your actions match your values. How you turn good intentions into actual integrity. How you train yourself to see clearly. Of course, some nights you won't feel like it. You'll be tired, tempted to skip. That's when it matters most. Because reflection is discipline too. Each time you do it despite resistance, you're proving your word matters. And there's something sacred about ending the day this way. The world is noisy. Days fly by. But when you pause at night, even for 5 minutes, you reclaim time. You turn chaos into clarity. Motion into meaning. Do this long enough, and wisdom starts to compound. You'll notice patterns. I'm always anxious on days I skip my morning routine. I'm calmer when I write before bed. These aren't random insights. They're earned truths. And once you own them, they become armor. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it." Nightly reflection is how you embody wisdom. Quietly, consistently, 1 page at a time. So tonight, instead of scrolling yourself to sleep, try this. Ask, did I live with intention today? Did I honor my values or drift from them? What would the wiser version of me have done differently? Not to judge, just to learn. Because direction, not perfection, shapes destiny. And reflection is how you adjust your course, night after night, until your life aligns with who you're meant to be. There's something sacred about the early hours. The world hasn't started demanding anything from you yet. It's quiet. So, for a brief moment, you're alone with yourself. No emails. No deadlines. No scroll holes. Just space. But most people throw this gift away without thinking. They wake up and grab their phone. And instantly, they're reacting, checking messages, scrolling headlines, absorbing everyone else's problems. The day feels chaotic before it even starts. And then they wonder why they feel rushed, scattered, or drained. The Stoics knew better. They understood the importance of preparing the mind before stepping into the world. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, began his mornings with reflection. He wrote not for anyone else, but for himself, to strengthen his inner framework. He reminded himself, when you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. That wasn't poetry, it was training, gratitude and focus before the noise could steal it. Think of your morning as a foundation. A shaky foundation creates a shaky structure, but a strong foundation sets you up to carry the weight of the day. And here's the good news. You don't need to wake up at 4 a.m., meditate for 2 hours, or drink mushroom coffee upside down. You just need a simple routine that centers you. Something that reminds you who you are and what matters, before the world tells you who to be. Carl Jung said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." Mornings are for waking up on the inside. They're your chance to check in with your values, not just your inbox. If you don't set your own priorities first, someone else will. And their priorities probably don't include your peace, your growth, or your purpose. Imagine starting your day with 10 minutes of silence. No phone, no notifications, just breathing, just being. In that space, your nervous system calms, your thoughts settle, and you get to choose your first feeling of the day instead of having it hijacked. Then, anchor it with intention. Maybe you journal. Maybe you review your goals. Maybe you just ask, what kind of person do I want to be today? Not, what do I have to do, but, how do I want to show up? Seneca warned, if a person doesn't know to which port they sail, no wind is favorable. Most mornings, people are drifting, no direction, just reacting to the first current that pulls them. But when you start your day with clarity, even small tasks become meaningful. You're no longer tossed around. You're steering. Your first few choices each morning send a powerful signal to your brain. Hit snooze 3 times, skip breakfast, scroll for 45 minutes, and you've trained your brain to be distracted and reactive. But wake up, breathe, and take even one small aligned action. You've proven to yourself that you're in charge. Discipline starts there. Not with hype. With habits. It doesn't need to be perfect. Some mornings you'll oversleep. Some mornings you'll feel off. That's fine. Discipline isn't flawless execution, it's consistent return. You recommit. You start again. That's the Stoic way. Modern psychology confirms this. Studies show people who begin their day with self-directed habits, journaling, mindfulness, light planning, experience more focus, more productivity, and more emotional stability throughout the day. Because they protect their mental space before the world fills it with noise. Here's the challenge: reclaim your morning. Not for productivity's sake, but for clarity, for self-leadership, for peace. Start small. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. Read a single paragraph from a Stoic text. Set your top 3 intentions for the day. Make it yours. Make it sacred. Tomorrow morning, when the alarm rings, pause. Don't check your phone. Don't open your inbox. Just breathe. Remind yourself, I don't control the chaos out there, but I do control how I start. In that moment, you've already won the day, because you've remembered the truth, you're in charge. It's shocking how quickly emotions can take over. One moment you're calm, steady. Then someone cuts you off in traffic, or you get a passive-aggressive text, or your boss takes a cheap shot. Suddenly your chest tightens, your pulse races, and your thoughts spiral. Before you know it, the emotion has hijacked your focus, your energy, your whole day. We've all been there. But here's what most people forget. Feeling something doesn't mean you have to obey it. The Stoics weren't robots. They felt, but they refused to let feelings drive the car. Epictetus said it best. It's not things that upset us, but our judgments about things. It's not the event itself, it's the story you tell yourself about it. That's where your power lies. Not in controlling the world, but in choosing your response. Of course, this isn't easy. Emotions hit fast. They hit deep. They feel real. When someone disrespects you, it feels like an attack. When fear rises, your body believes you're in danger, even if you're not. But this is where discipline comes in. Emotional discipline isn't about ignoring feelings. It's about pausing long enough to question them. Is this helpful? Is this even true? That extra breath, that extra heartbeat, that's the difference between reacting and responding. Carl Jung said, emotion is the chief source of becoming conscious. There can be no transforming of darkness into light without emotion. Emotions aren't enemies. They're teachers, signals, clues about what matters to you. But if you don't manage them, they don't transform you, they consume you. Anyone can lash out. Anyone can let emotions control them. That takes no strength. What's rare and impressive is restraint. Calm under fire. Choosing to hold your center while the world shakes around you. That's real power. Modern psychology backs this too. There's a practice called affect labeling. Simply naming your emotion, I feel angry, I feel anxious, engages the rational part of your brain and lowers the intensity. Naming creates distance. Suddenly, you're not inside the emotion, you're observing it. And once you're observing, you've broken the hijack. The Stoics advise delay. Seneca said, the best remedy for anger is delay. Don't send the angry text. Don't storm out. Don't fire off the comment. Breathe. Emotions are like waves. They rise, they crash, they fade. If you act at the peak, you'll regret it. Anxiety is a great example. Your chest tightens, your mind spirals. But anxiety is often just misplaced energy, your brain trying to prepare you, not punish you. Ask, what am I actually afraid of? Is this real, or is it a story? That pause turns fear from a dictator into a teacher. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. That's radical responsibility. This doesn't mean numbing out. It means clarity. Emotional maturity is being able to say, I feel anger, but I don't have to act angry. I feel fear, but I can still move forward. That's freedom. Over time, with practice, you'll notice patterns. You'll catch yourself before the explosion. And one day, you'll face a situation that used to trigger you, and you'll simply breathe. You'll stay calm. You'll respond with intention. And in that moment, you're not just disciplined. You're free. Because emotional freedom isn't about being cold. It's about being clear. It's about owning your feelings instead of being owned by them. That's Stoic strength. That's self-mastery. Let's get brutally honest. How many times have you said yes when everything in you wanted to say no? You were tired. You weren't interested. You had other priorities. But out of guilt, fear, or habit, you gave away another chunk of your time, your energy, your peace. And just like that, you moved one step further from the life you actually want. That's how people lose their lives, not in dramatic moments, but in quiet surrenders. One unwanted yes at a time. The Stoics had a name for this, living against your nature. Not nature, like trees and rivers, but your inner nature, your values, your direction, your purpose. When you keep saying yes to things that conflict with your values, you don't just disappoint yourself. You divide yourself. You dilute your willpower. You scatter your focus. Epictetus warned about this. He said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Translation, be willing to say no, even if people don't like it. Even if they don't understand. Because saying no isn't selfish. It's clarity. Every yes is a trade. A yes to someone else's request might be a no to your own project, your rest, your growth. But most people don't realize the trade until it's too late, until they're overwhelmed, resentful, or burned out. If you want to grow, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, you have to guard your time like it's sacred. Because it is. Every misaligned yes is a piece of your life you'll never get back. Now let's be real. Saying no feels uncomfortable. Guilt creeps in. Fear of disappointing others. Fear of missing out. But discomfort isn't a reason to abandon your discipline. It's a sign you're growing, from approval-seeking to value-seeking. From trying to be liked to trying to live right. Most people are addicted to being agreeable. We've been trained that politeness is more important than authenticity. But discipline doesn't live in people-pleasing. It lives in integrity. In honoring your energy. In asking, does this deserve me? Here's the truth, Not everything deserves you. Not every request deserves your time. Not every opportunity deserves your focus. Saying no isn't shutting people out, it's showing up with honesty. It's saying yes when it's true and no when it's not. That's how trust is built. Not just with others, but with yourself. Because every time you say no to something misaligned, you reinforce self-respect. You prove to yourself that your values matter, that your peace matters, that your word matters. Seneca once wrote, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." That line hits even harder today. We're pulled in 100 directions: social invites, work requests, DMs, distractions. Everyone wants a piece of us. If we don't get intentional, we end up scattered, spread thin, half-living. That's why no is one of the most powerful tools in your discipline arsenal. It's not rejection. It's protection. It's a shield against the chaos. Let's get practical. Imagine you're working on something deeply important, a personal project, and a friend asks to hang out again. You've already sacrificed focus 10 times before. This time you say, "Hey, I'd love to, but I need to focus tonight. Hope you understand." That sentence is leadership. It's integrity in action. It's training your brain to honor your path. And yes, some people won't like it. They'll say you've changed. They'll get frustrated. But that's okay, because growth will always frustrate those who benefited from your lack of boundaries. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." Part of that acceptance is knowing what you need and protecting it. Without apology, without shame. You won't be perfect. You'll still slip. You'll still say yes when you shouldn't. But the more you practice, the easier it gets. Ask better questions. Does this align with who I'm becoming? Does this support the life I want? If not, decline with love, with respect, with clarity. Because here's the truth, every no to distraction is a yes to discipline. Every no to chaos is a yes to calm. Every no to temporary approval is a yes to long-term peace. That's the trade. And it's always worth it. Have you ever looked at the clock, shocked that it's already evening, and wondered, what did I even do today? The hours slipped through your fingers. You were busy, sure, but with what? Emails you barely remember. Videos you barely cared about. Endless scrolling, empty conversations. And the quiet panic sets in. Another day wasted. That panic is your inner self screaming. You're spending something you can't get back. Think about how carefully people treat money. They budget it, track it, save it. But time? We throw it around like it's endless. We'll waste 5 hours binging a show we don't even enjoy, but hesitate to spend 20 minutes meditating, writing, or calling someone we love. Time is gold, but not flashy gold, sacred gold. You can't mine it. You can't print it. You can't store it. Every morning, you wake up with a full account. By night, it's gone. No refunds. No rollover. The only question is, what did you spend it on? And here's the hard truth. Most of us spend it on autopilot. Mindless scrolling, gossip, overthinking instead of acting, saying yes to obligations we resent, avoiding hard decisions that would free us if we faced them. Carl Jung said, "The most intense conflicts, if overcome, leave behind a sense of security and calm that is not easily disturbed." Translation, avoidance costs time. Facing things frees time. So how do you start treating time like gold? First, awareness. Track a day of your life. Where did your hours go? Not to judge, just to see. What got your best energy? Was it aligned with your values, or just easy to click? Second, structure. The Stoics believed in living on purpose. That means designing your day with intention. Block out time for deep work. Real work. No distractions. Block out time for rest too. Real rest, not half resting while doom scrolling. Make your calendar reflect your values, not just your obligations. Seneca warned, while we are postponing, life speeds by. The cost of delay is always higher than it looks. Discipline means showing up today, not waiting for perfect conditions. This doesn't mean grinding like a machine. Life isn't only about productivity. It's about meaning. Using your time in ways that reflect who you want to be. Some of that will be deep work. Some will be stillness. Some will be love. But it all requires intention. Here's a practice. Each night, ask, how did I spend my time today? Where did I invest? Where did I waste? Not to guilt yourself, but to wake yourself up. Because the more you see where your hours go, the less willing you'll be to throw them away. Carl Jung also said, your vision will become clear only when you look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. That's true of time too. Most people live outwardly, reacting to notifications, requests, distractions. But when you turn inward, when you ask, what matters to me? What's my highest use today? You wake up. A life lived with time awareness isn't rigid. It's intentional. You stop waiting for someday. You start living today. You trade distraction for depth. You trade autopilot for presence. Every hour is a vote. A vote for the life you want. A vote for the person you're becoming. And when you treat time like gold, you stop tolerating wasted days. Not because you're uptight, but because you care. So here's the challenge. For the next 24 hours, treat your time like treasure. Catch yourself before every just 5 more minutes. Choose presence over passivity. Purpose over autopilot. Tonight, ask, did I invest my day or just spend it? Because in the end, time isn't just money. It's life. And once it's gone, it's gone. Use it like it's gold, because it is. Life has a way of hitting hard, sometimes out of nowhere. One day you're fine, and the next it feels like the ground has been ripped from under you. Maybe someone walked out. Maybe you failed at something you poured your soul into. Maybe you woke up and couldn't shake the heaviness of it all. Pain like that is sharp. It burns. It feels personal. Most people treat pain like a glitch, like something that shouldn't happen. They run from it, numb it, bury it under distractions. But what you bury doesn't disappear, it festers. And the longer you avoid it, the more power it gains over you. The Stoics saw pain differently. They didn't glorify it, but they didn't run from it either. They believed pain was raw material for growth. They even practiced something called premeditatio malorum, imagining hardship ahead of time, so when it came, they'd be ready. Epictetus knew pain better than most. He was born a slave. His master broke his leg, leaving him crippled for life. And yet, instead of collapsing into bitterness, he became one of history's greatest teachers. He said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters." That wasn't a quote, it was survival. Seneca put it another way, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. Pain isn't the enemy. It's the heat that forges you. You are the steel. Think about the strongest people you know, the ones with depth, compassion, grit. Almost always, they've been through something. Their pain became their power. It gave them empathy. It made them real. You can feel it in their presence. Not loud, not flashy, but grounded, unshakable. So how do you turn pain into fuel? First, honesty. Stop pretending it doesn't hurt. Name it. Write it down. Say it out loud. Not to wallow, but to face it. Because what you face, you can use. Then ask, what is this pain teaching me? About what I value. About where I'm not free. About what needs to change. Pain is a brutal but honest teacher. If you listen, it will show you the next step. Second, channel it. Use your pain as energy. Work out harder. Focus deeper. Love more fiercely. Create something from it. The Stoics didn't sit in despair, they acted. Not with panic, but with purpose. Every time you show up instead of shutting down, that's turning pain into power. Every time you feel instead of numbing, that's alchemy. Every time you speak your truth without shame, that's growth. It won't be quick. Turning pain into strength is slow, messy, uncomfortable. Some days you'll cry. Some days you'll regress. Some days it'll feel like nothing is changing. But stay with it. Stay engaged. Over time, you'll realize something incredible. The pain didn't break you, it built you. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, look well into yourself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look. That's what pain reveals. Not just how much you can endure, but how deep your strength runs. Here's the shift. Stop seeing pain as the end of the road. See it as raw material for your rebirth. That breakup, that failure, that betrayal, that diagnosis, they don't define you. They refine you. So whatever you're facing right now, don't waste it. Don't numb it. Use it. Let it sharpen you. Let it clarify your values. Let it strip away illusions. Let it make you truer, deeper, freer. Because discipline isn't built in the spotlight. It's built in the fire. In the quiet choices no one sees. In the way you keep showing up even when it hurts. That's the Stoic way, not to escape pain, but to use it. To let it mold you. To rise through it. To become fireproof. And when you do, you'll look back and realize, the scar isn't weakness. It's proof of strength. Proof that you walked through fire and came out forged. Pain doesn't have to destroy you. It can build you, if you let it. So here we are. We've walked through purpose, self-reliance, showing up without excuses, choosing discomfort, controlling what we can, refusing to play the victim, delaying gratification, ignoring the noise, modeling the wise, nightly reflection, mastering mornings, and keeping emotions in check. We've faced the discipline of saying no, treating time like gold, and even turning pain into fuel. What do all of these have in common? They are daily choices. Small, ordinary moments that shape an extraordinary life. Stoicism was never about sitting in a temple or memorizing quotes. It was about living. Living with clarity. Living with intention. Living with strength even when life isn't easy. Especially when life isn't easy. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor with armies to command and crises to face, still reminded himself every morning, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. That's the essence. Not debate. Not theory. Action. And here's the truth. None of us will do this perfectly. You'll stumble. You'll lose your temper. You'll waste time. You'll say yes when you should have said no. That's fine. Stoicism doesn't demand perfection. It demands return. You fall. You rise again. You miss the mark. You aim again. You reflect, you learn, you adjust. Discipline isn't about rigidity. It's about direction. Every choice is a chance to come back to your path. Every reflection is a chance to recalibrate. Every morning is a new opportunity to remember you're in charge of your mind. And when you're in charge of your mind, no one else can own you. Epictetus, once a slave, crippled and considered powerless, said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom doesn't come from wealth, status, or luck. It comes from mastering your choices. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Your life isn't slipping away because time is too short. It's slipping away when you live scattered, reactive, distracted. Reclaim your time, and you reclaim your life. Marcus reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Not comfort, not ease. Strength. The kind that doesn't depend on the world cooperating. And Carl Jung echoed this in his own way. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. Awakening is what this path is about. Not running. Not numbing. Not drifting. Awakening to who you really are, and choosing to live that truth every day. So here's the challenge. Don't just listen. Don't just nod along. Take one idea, just one, and put it into practice today. Reflect tonight. Wake with intention tomorrow. Delay one impulse. Say one honest no. Do one hard thing on purpose. Turn 1 ounce of pain into growth. Because Stoicism isn't meant to be admired. It's meant to be lived. And if you live it, even imperfectly, you'll find what the Stoics found. A quiet strength, a grounded clarity, a freedom no one can take away. This isn't about becoming superhuman. It's about becoming fully human. Steady. Alive. And when you walk that path, step by step, choice by choice, you don't just build discipline. You build a life worth living. Backhand index pointing right. If this journey resonated with you, don't stop here. Keep reflecting. Keep practicing. And if you want more daily reminders of Stoic strength and clarity, join this community by subscribing. Not for more noise, for less of it, for focus, for truth, for the rare kind of content that challenges you to rise, not escape. Because your life is waiting. And the time to live it, fully, clearly, deliberately, is now.